and welcome to GBN Live. I'm your host, Tracy Hansen. I'm with the Saybrook chapter of GBN. What's up, Saybrook? I'd like to thank our sponsor before we get started. They are Grand Strand Law Group. They have offices in Myrtle Beach and North Myrtle Beach, and you can get in touch with Grand Strand Law Group at 843-492-5422. Also at grandstrandlawgroup.com. They're excellent. I highly recommend them. Also, don't forget to grant us permission to show your comments online. So to do that, you may have to go to streamyard.com/Facebook, and that will give us permission to show your questions and comments. And if you do have any questions and comments for our guest today or for GBN in general, please type them into your comments section, and we will do our best to get to them on GBN Live today. So today's guest is Laurie Weatherill. She's with Highlands Mortgage and also the Rivertown Chapter of GBN. So we'll welcome Laurie in just a minute, and stay tuned. GBN Live is next. All right, welcome back. Today we're with Laurie Weatherill with Highlands Mortgage. Welcome, Laurie. It's good to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. So before we get into mortgages and lending and all that fun stuff that people just stress on nonstop when they're buying a house, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from, your family, that kind of thing.
Well, I was born in Illinois, but I call Texas home until now.
Okay.
I lived in Colorado for the last 27 years, raised my kids there. I have 5 kids, and they are spread all over the world. But I got into mortgages doing when I was a single mom raising my kids, and it just worked out perfect for being able to be with them. And then I grew such a passion for it. So,
yeah. So you said your kids are all over the world. Any in other countries right now,
but they're
or
in LA, Phoenix, Oklahoma, and Colorado.
Oh, okay. So they are spread
all
out.
Over, coast to coast.
Wow. Do you get together with them all at once often?
Every year we do.
Oh, good.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
And then this summer they're coming, the whole group of them are coming out for a week here with me.
Oh, how fun.
So it'll be twice this year, and then I'm really looking forward to that.
That's fun. I have a brother and sister in Seattle, and I know it's so important to my mom and my dad too when we're all together at the same time. You know, they have fun. So that's fun for you.
Well, and them coming here this year, my mom and sister and brother live in the area. So everybody will get together in my house.
Oh, that's great. So it's going to be like a family reunion.
Yes, ma'am.
Sounds like fun. All right. So let's get a little bit into why we're here and talk about lending and mortgages. As a realtor myself, I do understand the importance of speaking with a lender first, because I tell anybody that comes to me, you have to know, where you stand. Why do you feel that this is such an important step as well?
Several reasons. Because if you go out, you find the house of your dreams, and then learn that you can't qualify for it, there's not another house out there that's going to be okay for you. Mm-hmm. So there's no reason to go out and look at a $600,000 house if you can only afford $300,000. So you don't want to. It's like knowing what you want, but here's what you can afford. You don't ever want to see what you want, because then you just will never settle. That's true. And with us, or with me, I like to take everybody through the entire process. I put everybody through underwriting and everything else while they're looking, so that when they find the house of their dreams, I can write the approval letter saying it's already been underwritten by an underwriter. And then all I have to have is the attorney with the title, insurance, and contract and appraisal. And
that's awesome.
Then pretty much we're done.
That's great, because I know a lot of times that's where you can run into problems is in underwriting. Mm-hmm. And if you're so far along in the process and now you're running into problems, it's heartbreaking for a buyer, So to have you do that in the early stages, I'm sure it makes a huge difference for people.
I've got 6 right now that are fully underwritten, fully approved, ready to go. They're just fine. They're just waiting to find the house.
Right. That's great. That's fantastic. So I know also when I speak to buyers and you say, you got to get your paperwork in, you got to talk to the lender, and they're going to ask you for things and be on it. And a lot of times they take a while, collecting their documents and having to download and this and that. Do you have any suggestions or words of advice for a buyer when it comes to providing the necessary information? I mean, I'm sure you're going to say, get it to me quick,
I always tell them, don't get it to me on time. I'm coming to your doorstep.
Right, good.
Or I'm going to tell
people
your
need
realtor,
that. Yeah.
I'm going to tell on you if you don't get it. No, and I joke with them because I tell them this is so important. If you want to close on time, but if you can't get it to me, I can't close you. You can't say, when are we closing? Well, I don't know when you're going to get me your documents.
Right.
So I always just tell them up front.
Right. And there are a good amount of documents that you need too.
Oh.
So I know you have your tax returns, right? A couple years, I would think of
Not
that.
Always.
Not always.
I have programs where I need a W-2, a pay stub, driver's license, bank accounts.
Okay.
And, I don't need tax returns. I need one pay stub. I don't need 30 days. So I kind of go on it different than most people because a lot of times you're doing the application over the phone.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to put it all in there.
Right.
And then say, okay, here's what it's saying we need. And, sometimes they want to go ahead and get me their tax returns, which is fine. Because then I just put them in a folder on my computer, not in a folder. And, if the underwriter happens to want it, which has not ever happened yet, then I've got it and I'm not having to ask them for it. But, there's a lot of programs that, on a refinance, sometimes there was enough equity. We wouldn't have to have appraisal. I'd get a I'd get a pay stub, a W-2 or from last year. And I wouldn't need bank statements. I wouldn't need anything else, just a driver's license and those few pieces of information. And then we were done. Wow.
And then for the rest of the loan, that's pretty much all they needed to provide. And
even with the crazy rates right now, I'm doing a refinance, and they wanted to pull significant cash out. And from what they were paying on the one payment that we're going to incorporate, they're going to have their old mortgage paying off the mortgage that they got that was just the second, and then $50,000 out. And even with the difference in interest rate, the payment's the same.
Wow.
So, there's some times where it works. Plus, now they've got all of this instead of having things that don't have any ability to write it off as a tax on their tax returns. Now they have this huge interest rate that whenever the interest rates fall again, we can refinance them and put them into a low interest rate, but then it's not a cash out. It's just a rate and term.
Right.
Which they're not.
Right. And then they can refinance. Yeah.
Yeah. Because a cash out has a higher interest rate than a rate and term.
Right. Right. Yeah. They say in real estate, marry the house, date the rate, because you can change it. You can refinance.
And it's not typical for most people to have a loan more than 5 years.
Oh, really?
It's just
they go
crazy.
To the refinance. Wow.
They're refinancing, they're this, and I always tell people, if you're going to refinance from a 30, don't go back to a 30 unless you really are incorporating a bunch of debt and can't afford the payment of, the 20 or 25 or even 15. But if you can do a 30-year, rates have dropped enough to where your payment's the same at 15-year.
Right.
Do a 15-year.
Right.
And get that sucker paid off quick.
Right.
And I always show them what they're going to end up paying in interest on this 30 versus this 15. And sometimes it's like, whoa.
I know.
It's devastating.
That interest. I know. I tell people, I'm like, just when you get that, you're going to see what you pay for your fine, all in all. Don't let it scare you.
Right.
Everyone's in that boat. Don't even look at it. Don't even say I'm paying twice as much for my house. But that's what it is. It's a 30-year loan. What do you think? And
I remember getting my first loan. I was 18 years old, and I was buying a house that was less than $35,000. And with the interest rates the way they were back then, yes, I'm old. It was almost 3 times what I was paying for the house, and I was like,
so crazy,
no,
right?
This is not worth it.
I know.
But it was in the long run, and I did it. So
right, yeah, exactly. So now, when you have a buyer and they're ready to buy a house, when should they let you know that they're under contract? Right away? I mean, I know,
they're
like
have to call me to give me. I do my pre-approval letters based on that house what you're offering, everything else.
Right.
So I'm not going to give you a blanket one that says you qualify for $450,000.
For anything. Oh, okay. Yep. Okay.
I don't do that.
So
I
they've
do it
already spoken to you.
individually
Yeah. That
for.
way.
So I know that it's coming, and I talk to my clients all the time ad nauseum. I don't let my assistants and stuff like that have a lot of communication with them unless I'm just in the middle of something and it's like, Randy, can you go ahead and do this, or you know, something. I'm a very hands-on person.
Like that.
I want to say, here's what you're doing. I had a client one time that was a first-time home buyer, and they spent a lot. And I said, from here on out, you guys can't spend anything you don't ask me about first. And I had to revise that because they called and said, we need gas and groceries. And I was like, okay, that's a little, so I had to revise how I said it. But, first-time home buyers don't understand fully.
Right.
So,
you may need gas and groceries, but don't put those gas and groceries in a brand new car.
Or a house full of furniture. Don't buy that house full of furniture before you close, because I'm going to find out.
Right.
And I always say, don't hide anything from me, because I'll know more about you at the end of this thing than you know about you.
Yeah, true.
So, yeah.
True. So once an offer has been accepted, does a lender need then additional documents or anything like that? What do they need? Or are we all
if there's been
good
a
to
long
go?
span
between
the time that the underwriter saw it and approved it and stuff, we're going to need an updated bank statement, an updated pay stub, a few items that are updated. But if we've gotten you through underwriting and you've got a contract tomorrow, I'm not going to need to update anything else. So then we just put the contract in, order the appraisal, get with the attorneys and order the title, and make sure they have their insurance intact.
Right. So what would a long span be then? When would they have to, if they got their pre-approval and did all that, but it's been a few months, are they okay? Are they okay after 3 months? Should they get a revised, updated,
as long as nothing's changed, you haven't changed jobs, you haven't gone out and put a bunch of drug money in your checking account or anything else, no big, huge deposits that you can't trace or anything else. It's seamless.
Okay.
For the most part.
So they wouldn't have to worry about that.
No.
Too
and
much.
They're good for 120 days. And even after 120 days, you just update things.
You just update it.
You have to get a new credit report, and please don't surprise me on anything else, because I'm going to have to surprise you back. But I'm good with credit, so I'll just say, okay, you need to go pay this off before we can finish. Right,
because you've worked with people to fix their credit as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the fun part. I like my challenges.
Right.
Because I've had several that people have said nobody can get them done.
All right. Awesome.
Challenge on.
Yeah.
And when I meet a realtor sometimes for the first time, it's like, do you have anybody that didn't qualify? Let me have them. And let me prove myself to you, because I can get a lot of stuff that people don't, because I enjoy, if somebody's got bad credit, most of the time there's a story behind it. So let's figure it out. Yeah.
And I think that's a great point too, because a lot of people may say, or may feel, oh, I can't afford a house yet. Oh, I know I don't have enough money in the bank. I don't have this, or I don't have that. Where really, if they speak to you, you can help them work through that. It may not take as long as they, in their mind, may think it would.
There's programs that it's $1,000 out of pocket if the seller will pay the closing costs. VA, you can do it with nothing out of pocket. You can take the earnest money that you paid and get it back at closing if the seller's willing to pay closing costs. So, there's all kinds of programs. If your credit's good enough, 3% down. If it's not, 3.5% down.
Right. And that's not that big of a difference. So I think a lot of people do think that they can't get it done, Yeah. So my advice would be to call you right away.
I have fun with them.
Right. And that's great. I
have clients that call me.
Yeah.
I had one call me at 9:30 last night.
Oh, yeah?
And I answered.
Yeah. I do the same thing.
I know.
And then I tell myself I won't do it anymore, and then I do. But that's the customer service, and that's the business we're in, and that's what sets some people apart from others. So after the break, we are going to discuss credit scores. We touched on it a little bit, and kind of what impact that they can have on getting your approval. So stay tuned, and we will be right back.
Hi, I'm Jess the San. I've been a canine liaison at Grand Strand Law Group for, 30 years? What's that? You don't believe me? I meant 30 dog years, of course. First rule of lawyering, read the fine print. Anywho, my humans at Grand Strand Law Group have a combined 20 years experience. I know, not as much as me, but that's in people years. So yeah, still pretty impressive. Real estate, estate planning, or probate, you need GSLG.
Grand Strand Law Group. Trust us, we have a dog.
Great Business Networking grew out of the idea that by creating lasting friendships within the community, we can make the community even better.
I was looking to network with professionals and to be able to refer my clients to somebody that I trust.
Well, it's really important to trust the members of the group because we really generate quality referrals, and to know somebody, be friends with them, and get that qualified referral is the key to success.
It is networking, but it doesn't feel like networking, and that is important to me. I come to the meetings, I have fun, I make great connections, and I help grow my business.
GBN, these are some of the best professionals in the market, and having that resource available to me, that's priceless.
Well, GBN is a network of business professionals that build long-lasting friendships that will not only grow my business, will grow yours as well. That's what referral marketing is all about.
GBN really is the most important marketing for your business. Check us out today.
Hi, welcome back to GBN Live. I am your host, Tracy Hansen, and with us today is Laurie Weatherill with Highlands Mortgage. Welcome, Laurie. Good to see you. Before we get right back to our questions, I just want to take a quick moment and thank our sponsor, Grand Strand Law Group. You can reach them at 843-492-5422. They have offices in Myrtle Beach and North Myrtle Beach, and they are ready to help you with your real estate needs, probate, wills, and things of that nature. So you can reach them at grandstrandlawgroup.com. We do have a comment. We have Johnny George up there saying good morning. Good morning, Johnny. Thanks for joining us today. Scott King. Hi, guys. Hi, Scott. Good to see you, too. I have to keep looking over my glasses because I think I need bifocals, but that's my problem. All right. If you do have questions for Laurie or for GBN in general, you can type them into your comment section and we will do our best to get them answered. You may have to go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and that'll help us get your comments up there. So before the break, we had mentioned credit scores. We touched on it a little bit. And it is kind of crazy from what I've seen how you can just increasing your credit score just a little bit can really make an impact. So what advice can you give somebody with a low credit score other than call you to start to fix it? But what other advice can somebody kind of start doing on their own?
Well, sometimes it's just a matter if you've got a credit card that's got too high of a balance. And if that's it and you can't pay it down, you know, sometimes as simple as opening up another credit card and, you know, transferring some of it, but you can't do it without talking to me first, because I have a scenario in my system that I can do that exact scenario and find out if it's going to raise the scores or lower them.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, sometimes it'll lower the score, sometimes it'll raise it. There's not a cookie cutter thing.
Oh, okay.
Like if you pay off a bunch of, you know, collections and stuff that are on there, well, sometimes that money that you've paid for the medical collections and stuff like that does no good. But if you pay $400 towards a credit card, you could get 20 points.
Wow.
Our weirdest one that I've ever done to date was a gal needed 34 points. And so I ran everything through and it cost her $34 and it was 34 points. And I could get her in the program she wanted to do, which was the USDA, the zero money down.
Right.
And
for $34. Wow.
So, I mean, some of it's just so simple.
Right.
And some of it's going to take some time.
Right.
You know,
and that's why someone needs to speak to you.
My lowest credit score was 424.
Wow.
And it took us a while, but we got them a house.
Wow.
I don't just say,
right,
come see me again when your credit's better.
Right.
It's like, if you're willing to dig in, I'm willing to dig in with you.
That's awesome, because a lot of lenders will do that. Hey, I can't approve you now. Why don't you work on this for a year and then call me back?
Yeah.
You know, so that's fantastic, you know, because I think Yeah, it gives people a little sense of, you know, you don't want to say hand holding, but a little bit of hand holding, because it's a big thing going on, buying a house.
And I used to do it for them, but then they didn't learn anything. And, 2 years later, they came back in the same scores.
Right.
And it's like, what did you guys do?
Right.
Well, I don't know. You just fixed it last time. Can you fix it this time? No, but I'll tell you how to fix it.
Right.
And so I've learned that.
Yeah.
Because then it gives them a sense of accomplishment, not, hey, Laurie, just pull us out of the weeds.
Right. Right.
So,
yeah. And it helps them understand it a little better, So
and I
it's
used
great.
to go in when my kids were growing up and teach it in the schools.
Oh, wow.
And I would show the kids, if you do this, and I would give them the examples of the USDA. You can walk out of here and get an apartment, or you can walk out of here if you've built your scores, and I taught them how to do it. And some of the kids would go in and they'd buy a house for the same amount that they were going to pay rent. Then they'd have their buddy come live with them, and they'd split the cost. So they were living for half of what they would have.
I love that you went into the schools, because it's
I
never
taught 'em
too
how to write
early.
checks. I wrote them how to do credit, what it was important for, and what the scores meant. And I was able to do that. And I miss doing that. I've often thought of finding some schools and seeing if I can go back in and do it. But
I think that would be great.
It's fun.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. So let's touch a little bit on refinancing as well, because that's another part of your business. What benefits are there to refinancing a home? We talked about, marry the home, date the rate, but why would somebody want to refinance?
So many different scenarios have to go into it. And if it doesn't work for you, I'm the first one to say, don't do this.
Right.
But I've got one, I think we were talking earlier, I've got one right now that even with the rate being higher, some of the stuff they had was in such high interest rates that paying those down with the equity, and they had a lot of equity in the house. So, we're paying off all that really high debt. Plus they wanted money out. So they're getting the money they wanted out to do, the project that they're doing. And the payment's the same exact as it was with the lower interest rate.
Right.
Everything combined. So, the interest rates scare people, but there's situations to where it's actually better. And then if rates drop again, then we refinance you and hopefully do it on one of those simple scenarios,
right.
That we talked about.
Right. That's awesome. We do have a question over here, although the plant is in the way of my monitor. So we have from Sean Grady. Hey, Sean, how you doing today? He says, hey, Laurie, wondering if you have any advice for anyone that might be thinking about investing in real estate.
Come talk to me.
Right.
Because there's different rules.
Right, for investors.
The closing I had in Florida a couple weeks ago that I told you about, he has multiple properties. And it's not just, hey, I can afford this one. Once you start getting into investment, you have to have 6 months of reserves on each of those properties.
Okay, so it's
if
different.
If you're buying an investment, if you're buying your own but have those, the rules are still different. You don't have to have that 6 months because you're doing it as a primary. If you have it as an investment, you have to have 6 months reserves for all of the payments that you have on each of the houses.
Oh, wow.
So, he had to have, over $100,000 because of the amount of properties he had.
Right.
Just in an account for if something happens, you have to be able to make your payments for 6 months.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so different rules for investors. Yeah.
And nobody's the same.
Oh.
That's where credit scores are more important, is when you're investing.
Okay.
Because when you're an investor and you have lower credit scores, your interest rates are going to just scare you.
Wow.
But at the same time, if the interest rates are that high, but it still makes sense and you're still going to make money, do it. You can still refinance an investment. You can
refinance,
property.
right? Exactly.
Exactly. There's no rules unless you don't have that 6 months reserves. Then we can't do it because you can't pull the money out and use that as reserves.
Right.
You can pull it out of your primary residence, and then you've got it in the bank after you've seasoned it for 2 months, because then it's in there and we don't know where it came from because it was there.
Oh,
because then you can use that money.
Gotcha.
So, there's all kinds of things you can do.
Right. Right. Yeah, I bet. And it's very confusing to somebody who is doing this once every 15 years or 7 years or for the first time ever.
Yeah.
So
I love first-time home buyers. Though.
Yeah.
It's just fun to get them to the table and know that you're giving them the first set of keys.
I like working with first-time home buyers as well as a realtor. It is fun for that reason, because it really is satisfying too.
And I have a lot of clients that give me their kids.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet.
This is their first house. Do
That's
what you
neat.
can. My youngest couple was 18 and 19.
Oh, wow.
My oldest son bought his first one at 18. I have a son who is 35. He just closed on his 16th house in October.
Wow.
So, I mean, I know how to do it. I
Right.
love doing it, and
Right.
it's fun to me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What mortgage programs are hot right now for buyers, and something that they maybe consider looking into? Or
Again, it goes on credit scores.
it does.
If
Yeah.
you have the lower credit scores, FHA just changed their mortgage insurance because the multiplying factor used to be 0.85, where USDA was 0.35. So USDA, you had to come in with less money, you had a lower payment, and your mortgage insurance was lower. Now FHA has dropped their mortgage insurance to where it makes it a little bit more competing with the USDA.
Oh, okay.
Still a little bit higher, but not enough.
Okay.
USDA has higher and stricter guidelines as far as debt ratio. FHA has a more forgiving debt ratio.
Okay.
Again, it
Right.
depends on the person, it depends on their needs, and it depends on where they are in life. You know, somebody
Right.
that's buying their last home,
Right.
you know, they just sold another one and they're doing it. But
Right.
manufactured homes are big here.
Yes.
And I'm learning how to work with realtors to make sure that they know that they have to retire it, the
The title.
and get that done.
Right.
But I know how to do it all.
Right.
Because
Well, good.
I've done it through the School of Hard Knocks. You
Yeah.
know, I learned the hard way what needed to be done, even though that's not typically something that a lender would do,
Mhm.
or a realtor either. You know, but the realtor has to educate their client to
Right.
say this has to be done, and the attorneys do it.
Right. Yep.
You know.
Absolutely. And everyone's different. Every situation, every transaction,
Everything.
everybody's situation is different.
Yeah, you and I can't buy a house usually on the same thing. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really that diverse. I mean, we
Yeah.
could,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying, you know, you and I could have such different circumstances. We could be the same age, we could be doing the same thing, but
Right.
you know, it's just different.
Right. Right. Well, this has been excellent. Great information. I appreciate you being here with us. And you can get in touch with Laurie at 970-567-4514 or also at highlandsmortgage.com. Thank you again for being with us. I do have one more question for you,
Okay.
which you probably know what it is.
Maybe.
Why is referral marketing so important to you and to your business? And why did you choose GBN to be a member of?
I met Todd through one of the first Tuesday nights with, you know, Tom Narducci brought me over and introduced me to him. And I had been with another networking group in Colorado, but
Okay.
being new to the area, it's fun because our group that I have, we really are friends. We meet at my house every 2 to 3 months and have a dinner, and we bring families and stuff like that. So, but it's helped me get to know people so that I then have the networking group to go out and do business and have enough business to,
Right.
you know.
Because referral marketing is fantastic.
And you can get a cold call.
Yeah.
But there's there's nothing that, you know.
A connection.
No.
Yeah.
And if you give me a name to somebody, then I have to protect your name.
Right.
And then
Absolutely.
I have to make sure that I, you know, work for you.
Right.
As well as them. And then I report back to you, even though you were just the one giving me the referral. I always feel like, okay, here, you know, I don't give details, especially of credit or income or anything else, obviously. But, you know, I want to make sure that you know that I've taken care of your client.
Right.
And so if, you know, it's a whole different group of people that you wouldn't have gotten to know otherwise.
Yes.
That you make some great friends with.
Yep. That's right. Friends first, business second.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for joining us, Laurie. And remember, if it's Wednesday, it's GBN Live. See you next time. Bye, everyone.